Are you deaf or just stupid? I said park the car by the marble fountain, not the side gate. Zena's voice cracked through the morning air like a whip. Standing tall in her velvet robe and designer heels, she looked down at Coreed with the disdain of royalty facing a beggar. A few servants paused at a distance, heads bowed, used to the drama, but this one stung more than usual. The new driver had barely lasted a week, and she was already tearing into him like meat. Coreed, dressed in a plain navy uniform and a baseball cap pulled low, gritted his teeth and kept his head bowed. I'm sorry, Ma. It won't happen again. You're damn right it won't, she sneered. You get paid to follow orders, not act like you own the place. You think I won't send you back to the garage you crawled out from? A passing maid stifled a giggle. Coreed caught it. So did Zena. She smirked, flipping her sleek black hair as she strutted past him. Clean the tires while you're at it. They're dirty, like your manners. Coreed turned away to hide the flicker of a smirk threatening to rise. He had planned for this. He knew she'd be mean, spoiled, heartless, untouchable. But seeing her in person was different. She was magnificent. Her beauty burned like fire, smooth chocolate skin, piercing eyes, lips full enough to ruin a man's sleep. And that attitude? It only made her more addictive. He bent to work, scrubbing the tires of her gleaming Mercedes with a rag, while his mind raced with one thought: she may have power in this house, but I'm going to have her heart, and her body. Every cruel word, every arrogant glance, it all only fueled him. She had no idea who he truly was. Billionaire Coreed Odebanjo didn't lose. And he didn't quit. If she wanted to play with fire, he was ready to burn her slowly, passionately. The servants' quarters were small, musty, and poorly lit. Coreed sat on his narrow bed, shirt half unbuttoned, his chiseled chest glistening with sweat after a long day of errands. Outside, the evening buzzed with distant laughter from the mansion's poolside where Zena entertained her spoiled friends. She hadn't said another word to him since morning, but that was fine. He had seen the way she glanced at him once when she thought he wasn't looking. A flash of curiosity. A spark she didn't expect. He leaned back, gripping his phone. Yes, Dipo, he whispered into the speaker. I'm in. She's exactly like the stories say. But she's more. More? His friend on the line chuckled. You're catching feelings already? Coreed smirked. Not yet. But I will get close. Close enough to know why she hides behind all that cruelty. And when I do, she'll come to me. Just then, a soft knock startled him. It was one of the junior maids, Adiz. Ogre driver, she said in a hushed tone. Madam Zena said you should drive her to the boutique in the morning. Be ready by 8. She doesn't like waiting. He nodded. Thank you. She hesitated, then added, just, don't let her break you. She's broken stronger men. But Coreed was made of steel. The next morning, the sun was sharp and hot, and Zena came out looking effortlessly breathtaking in a body-hugging red jumpsuit that teased every curve. She didn't greet him, just slid into the back seat, sunglasses on, phone glued to her hand. As they drove, she broke the silence. Your hands. They're too clean for a driver. Coreed didn't flinch. Maybe I take care of them. She narrowed her eyes at the rearview mirror. Too confident for someone with a salary barely higher than a janitor's. He smiled slightly. Confidence isn't bought with money, Ma. A beat of silence. Then, Zena looked away, lips parting slightly. That moment hung in the air, tense, curious, charged. The spoiled heiress had just met her match, and she didn't even know it yet. The boutique was the sort of place that smelled like money, imported lilac diffusers, marble floors buffed to a mirror, and spotlights that made every gemstone wink. Zena breezed through the glass doors with her chin high, a platinum credit card already poised between manicured fingers. Coreed followed a respectful 2 steps behind, hands clasped at his back, uniform immaculate. From the mezzanine above, sales attendants whispered, half awed by Zena's reputation, half curious about the tall, broad-shouldered driver who carried himself like he owned the street outside. Stay where I can see you, Zena ordered, not bothering to face him as she swayed past a row of sleek evening gowns. The command was laced with the same icy superiority, Yet Coreed noticed something new in her voice, a tremor of awareness. She felt his presence the way one feels heat from a low, smoldering fire, dangerous only if you got too close, yet irresistibly warming. While Xena vanished behind a velvet curtain, Coreed pretended to study cufflinks. In truth, he was memorizing every sound from the fitting room, the rustle of silk sliding over bare skin, the soft gasp when a zipper snagged, the muffled curse that followed. He pictured her struggling with the fabric and clenched his fists to keep from barging in. Patience, he reminded himself. Let her invite you. Minutes later, her voice floated out, brittle and urgent. You, driver. I need help. He slipped inside. The cubicle was barely larger than a closet, lined with mirrors that reflected back endless angles of Xena in a backless emerald gown. The zipper sat halfway, exposing a forbidden expanse of cocoa-smooth spine. For the first time, she looked vulnerable, arms twisted awkwardly, damp lashes clinging to her cheeks. Coreed's pulse hammered, but he kept his tone steady. May I? She nodded, refusing eye contact. He stepped closer, the air thick with gardenia perfume and something wilder, her quickening breath. His fingertips brushed the metal pull, then her skin, warm and electric. At the single touch she shivered, only slightly, but enough for him to notice. Stand tall, he murmured. The polite rasp of his voice sent a shiver up her neck. Inch by inch, he drew the zipper to the top, knuckles grazing the delicate knobs of her spine. Each centimeter felt illicit, a stolen caress masquerading as service. When the clasp clicked, he didn't step away. Neither did she. You should go, she whispered, but the words lacked bite. Of course, Ma, he answered, though his eyes lingered just long enough to let her feel undressed even in a designer gown. He exited, heart thundering. Outside, two attendants snickered about spoiled princesses who tip like paupers. Xena emerged in time to hear. Her cheeks flamed, a color he'd never seen on her imperious face. Rage sharpened her features, yet behind it flickered hurt. Before she could lash out, Coreed cleared his throat. Ladies, he said calmly, my employer's generosity is legendary. Perhaps consider your words while they can still be met with kindness. The girls blanched, stuttering apologies. Xena stared at Coreed as if seeing him anew, protector, accomplice, temptation. She purchased the gown and 2 more outfits, tossing an obscene gratuity onto the counter without breaking eye contact with the attendants. Then she swept past Coreed. Come. I'm finished here. That night the mansion was quiet, moonlight pooling across alabaster corridors. Coreed, having parked the car, headed toward the servant's wing when a soft voice halted him. Driver. Xena stood barefoot on a private balcony, wrapped in a satin robe. The city lights painted silver across her skin. She gestured him closer. I wanted to, thank you. For earlier. The words emerged stiff, as though foreign on her tongue. No need, Ma, he replied. But I'm honored you noticed. She hesitated, fingers worrying the sash at her waist. Why are you so different? Different how? Most staff cower. You don't. He met her gaze, letting the night carry his confession just to her ears. Respect doesn't mean fear. Besides, he smiled, slow and disarming, some things are worth standing tall for. Her breath hitched. For one charged heartbeat they hovered on the edge of something vast, then the mask slammed back into place. Don't get ideas, she snapped, retreating into shadow. Yet her voice trembled, and Coreed's grin widened as he bowed and left. Behind the balcony doors, Xena pressed a hand to her racing heart, cursing the driver who made her feel alive. The rain came without warning, soaking the city in sheets of silver. The Okoye mansion was quieter than usual. Xena had cancelled her brunch plans after waking up irritated and restless. She wandered the hallways in silk loungewear, barefoot and aimless, sipping from a glass of rose while ignoring the blinking lights on her phone. Nothing excited her lately. Not the endless designer deliveries. Not the parties. Not even her new cars. But she found herself peeking out the window, watching Coreed scrub the Range Rover in the downpour, shirt plastered to his skin. His muscles flexed under the wet fabric, defined arms, sculpted shoulders, a V-shaped torso that could tempt even the coldest heart. His lips were slightly parted as he worked, unaware of her gaze, Or maybe, pretending to be. She sipped her wine slower this time. Later that evening, the storm hadn't let up. The staff had finished their duties, retreating to the servants' wing. Zina wandered into the back garden, shielded under a wide umbrella. She didn't know why she was out there. Or maybe she did. The scent of rain, hibiscus, and something warmer led her straight to him. Corid stood beneath the mango tree, shirtless now, drying off a ragged towel. Their eyes met, lightning flashing behind her like a signal. Neither spoke. She stepped forward. "You enjoy doing that?" she asked quietly. "Rain or not, a man finishes what he starts," Corid replied, his voice deep, slow, deliberate. "It calms me." Zina took another step. "Is that what you want? To be calm?" His smile curved, slow, sensual. "Not tonight." That answer struck something inside her. A defiance. A challenge. Her breath came faster. "You talk like you're not afraid of me." "I'm not." "You should be." "I'm more afraid of what I want." Their bodies stood only inches apart now, thunder rumbling overhead. Rain traced her collarbone, slipping beneath her robe. She should have turned away. Should have reminded him who she was. But his eyes locked onto hers with heat that burned through every defense she had. "You're just a driver," she whispered, barely believing it anymore. "And you're just a woman," he said, reaching up, brushing a stray curl from her face. She didn't stop him. When his lips finally met hers, it wasn't soft, it was hungry. His kiss stole her breath, devoured her pride, tore apart the silence that had stood between them for days. Her arms wrapped around his neck, robe clinging wetly to her thighs as he pulled her closer, lifting her like she weighed nothing. They stumbled back beneath the awning, his hands gripping her hips like a man starved, her lips exploring him like a woman lost. Tongues tangled, teeth grazed, moans escaped. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one unraveling beneath her skin. When they finally pulled apart, soaked and trembling, she didn't speak. Neither did he. Their bodies said enough, and yet not nearly everything. Back in her room, alone and wide-eyed, Zina touched her lips like they belonged to someone else. She couldn't believe what just happened. The driver had kissed her. And worse. She'd wanted it. Craved it. Down in the servant quarters, Corid stared at the ceiling, shirt tossed aside, heat burning beneath his skin. She tasted like power and danger, and he wanted more. He'd kissed her once. He wouldn't stop at that. Not until he had all of her, heart, body, and soul. Days passed, but the fire from that night refused to die. If anything, it burned hotter beneath the surface. Zina avoided Corid like a sin she didn't regret, yet couldn't face. She barely looked at him during morning drives, spoke to him only when necessary, and always with an extra edge in her voice. But he knew better. He saw how her fingers lingered at her lips when she thought no one was watching. How her gaze slid to the rearview mirror, locking with his before darting away. She was shaken. And that gave him power. Corid played it slow. Calculated. He didn't force another moment. Instead, he made her watch him, fixing engines with bare arms glistening in the sun, folding his sleeves just so, his cologne lingering in hallways after he passed. Every movement was an invitation wrapped in restraint. She was unraveling. And he could feel it. One night, Zina was alone in her penthouse suite, silk robe draped across her thighs, staring at a blank TV screen with wine and questions. Who is he? Why does a driver speak like he owns the world? His voice was too polished. His confidence, too real. Something didn't add up. She was still thinking when a knock came at her door. Her heart skipped. She opened it. It was Corid, hair damp from a shower, dressed in a simple white t-shirt and dark joggers that clung too well. "Sorry to disturb, Ma," he said. The generator made a strange noise. "Thought I should inform you directly." She narrowed her eyes. "And that required you coming up here?" "No," he said, stepping closer. "I just wanted to see you." The silence between them stretched, thick with tension. Zina stepped back, just enough to let him in. "Come in, then." Inside, the room felt smaller with him in it. His presence was magnetic, dangerous. He didn't sit, didn't speak. just looked at her like he had every right to. Her robe fell slightly off one shoulder. He noticed. She swallowed. Do you want something, Coreed? You. She froze. He stepped forward, slowly, hands at his sides. I've been patient. Respectful. But I see the way you look at me. You want this too. Zena's breath caught. I don't know what you're talking about. He reached her, cupped her cheek, thumb brushing over her trembling lip. Yes, you do. Then he kissed her again, but this time, it wasn't rushed. It was deep. Possessive. Designed to claim. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him in as his mouth found her throat, his fingers exploring the edges of her sanity. They tumbled onto the couch, limbs tangled, lips devouring. Her robe parted, skin melting against his. Every kiss fed the craving they'd both been starving. Every moan, every bite, every whispered "don't stop" blurred the line between enemy and lover. He explored her body like a man discovering forbidden treasure. She let him, gasping, arching, surrendering. And when he finally left her breathless and limp beneath him, her head on his chest, she didn't say a word. Neither did he. They both knew something had changed. But outside that suite, reality waited. Lies still lingered like shadows. And though their bodies burned together, their truths were still hidden apart.